They say some towns just vanish, not destroyed, not abandoned, just forgotten, like they were never supposed to exist in the first place. I didn't believe that, not until I moved to a place called Meritt, Oregon. You won't find it on most maps unless you zoom way in. The locals said it was peaceful there, quiet, tucked between two ridges and a silver river that looked alive under the fog. It was peaceful, at first. But sometimes, late at night, I'd hear something beneath the wind. Not mechanical, not animal, something that made my ribs vibrate. I thought it was nothing, until the notices appeared. I moved to Meritt, Oregon, in the fall of 2017. My company had transferred me there to monitor a regional weather station. Old, analog equipment that still sent data over radio. They couldn't justify a full team, so I was alone. Just a man in his 30s, a rented house near the post office, and a handful of instruments that measured wind, rainfall, and barometric pressure. At first, it was peaceful, the kind of peace that feels like sleep. I'd wake up at 6, log the temperature, note the humidity, and fax my reports to the Portland office. Then I'd walk to the diner on Main Street, Hattie's, where the eggs were overcooked and the coffee tasted faintly of metal. Most evenings I'd sit on the porch, listening to the crickets hum against the soft whine of distant power lines. Sometimes, though, I thought I heard something else not quite mechanical, not animal either. Like a low vibrating hum that you could feel through your ribs. It came from somewhere east of town, near the quarry. One morning, a strange notice appeared on the community board outside the grocery store. A plain sheet of paper, no logo, no author. In the event of the siren, remain inside. Do not attempt to leave Meritt. Do not look directly at the sky. People laughed it off. Someone wrote, "Nice try, prankster," in blue ink below it. I didn't think much of it either. Small towns get bored. But then, 2 nights later, the dogs started barking. Every dog, all at once. It was 2:14 a.m. I remember because I just finished logging wind direction for the night shift report. I thought maybe a bear or coyote had wandered close, but when I stepped outside, the air felt wrong, thick and oddly warm, like standing too close to a generator. The sound came again, not barking anymore, whining, howling. Then silence. Absolute silence. No insects, no hum from the power lines. Even the wind had stopped. And then the siren began. It wasn't like a tornado alarm, not cyclical. It was one continuous tone, rising until my ears hurt. The windows rattled. A dull, pulsing red light flashed faintly from somewhere behind the trees. I didn't know what to do, so I went back inside and closed the blinds. After a minute, my phone buzzed an alert from the county emergency system. Shelter in place. Do not make noise. Do not exit buildings. I remember holding my breath, because the house itself seemed to be holding its breath. I sat on the floor and waited. Through the gaps in the blinds, I saw movement. Something tall passing under the streetlight. It didn't walk right more, like it was dragged forward by invisible strings. Its limbs hung loose and crooked. The siren cut off mid-tone. The air went completely still again. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Meritt acted like nothing had happened. No one mentioned the siren. Hattie served her burnt eggs. The sheriff waved from his cruiser, and I began to wonder if I'd dreamed the whole thing. Until I saw the stray. A black and tan shepherd, lying stiff in the ditch by the post office. No blood, no wounds, just a look of absolute terror frozen on its face. The following days blurred together. Work, diner, porch, sleep. The only thing that changed was the air pressure. It kept dipping lower than it should have, like a storm was forming, but never arrived. The The sky had a strange tint in the afternoons, too, not red, not orange, more like something was bleeding behind the clouds. People began acting, muted. Conversations ended mid-sentence. The old mailman, Clark, stared at the horizon for nearly a minute before handing me my letters, his lips moving silently like he was counting. One night, I caught my own reflection moving after I stopped. That was when I stopped turning on the lights. By the 5th day, the notices were back. Same message, same font taped to every door in town now. But someone had added a line in thick black marker. If you see it, it's already too late. At sunset, I saw something glide through the fog above the river. It wasn't a plane. It moved too slowly, and the fog warped around it like water bending over glass. I recorded everything I could. Barometric readings, radio logs, static bursts. Around 11 p.m., a second siren began, louder, longer. And then I heard knocking on my door, not pounding, polite, rhythmic knocking. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks. I didn't move. Then a voice. "Sir, county check-in. Everything all right in there?" I almost answered, but the way he said, "Sir," it sounded rehearsed, like a recording. The knocking continued, louder. "Sir, everything all right in there?" The same tone, same cadence. I crawled into the bathroom and turned on the shower to drown the sound. I don't know how long I stayed there, knees pulled to my chest, until the noise stopped. When I came out, the door was open. Footprints wet, enormous, human-shaped but wrong, led from the porch into my living room. They trailed off into nothing. That night, the red light returned, flooding the house. The walls seemed to pulse, faintly. I stopped going outside after that. My reports were useless now. Every number felt like a lie. I just wrote 0 for everything and faxed blank pages. The power flickered more each night. The radio only hissed. When I finally picked up a signal, it was a woman's voice, monotone, trembling, repeating one phrase over and over. "The sky is breaking. The sky is breaking. The sky is breaking." On the 7th night, I looked out the window. The horizon was gone. Where the ridges used to be, there was only red. Not light, not fire, just color. Like paint bleeding through the fabric of the world, it dripped upward. Then I saw the shape again, standing in the middle of Main Street. Tall enough to scrape the telephone wires, its head tilted like it was listening. Beneath it, the asphalt seemed to boil. The siren screamed, my ears bled, the windows cracked. It turned toward my house. I ran. I don't remember deciding to. I just did. Out the back door, through the brush, into the fields. The air was alive with sound, static, whispers, something wet dragging behind me. When I looked back, Meritt wasn't there anymore. Just a smear of red and black, like the town had been wiped off the earth. I kept running until I collapsed on the dirt road by the highway. A car stopped. 2 men in hazmat suits pulled me up, whispering things I couldn't hear. They drove me away. Even after I woke up in the ward, everything felt wrong. The room was white, sterile, and humming with fluorescent lights, but the air was heavy, thick like the forest I had imagined. The nurses moved quietly, almost too quietly, and the other patients stared at me, their eyes empty but unnervingly aware. I thought it was over, that waking up here was the escape. But the presence followed me, patient, waiting, coiling around the edges of my mind. Sometimes I would catch a glimpse of it in the corner of the room, a twisted shadow, hulking and grotesque, its shape shifting when I blinked. I tried to tell the doctors, the staff, but they would just smile politely and say, "It's okay, you're safe now. You're imagining things." Their words made it worse, the silence in their tone pressing against me, whispering that maybe they were right. At night, the shadows grew bolder, The walls of the ward seemed to stretch, the ceiling pulsing like skin. I could hear it moving just outside my door, dragging across the floor, waiting for me to close my eyes. I found a note under my pillow one morning. The handwriting wasn't mine, but I recognized it anyway. If the air becomes still, run. But do not look back, I couldn't leave. The doors were locked, the windows barred. The air itself seemed alive, thick with expectation, and the presence waited patiently for the moment I would falter. Even in here, in the supposed safety of the asylum, I knew it hadn't ended. The town, the creature, the horrors, they had been my mind's way of surviving. But now, reality and nightmare were entwined, bleeding into each other. I don't know if anyone else can see it. Maybe I'm alone in this, or maybe everyone else sees something else entirely. But I feel it, watching, waiting. And one day, when the air becomes still, it will come for me. And now, I sit here in the quiet room, microphone in front of me, headphones snug over my ears. The recorder clicks on, and I begin to speak, slowly, methodically, reading the words I wrote, the story I lived. At first, it feels normal, controlled. But with every sentence, every pause, I feel the shadows creeping closer. The walls seem to breathe, ever so slightly. The hum of the equipment twists in my ears. My voice starts to echo, softly then louder, overlapping with itself. I glance at the playback meter. It flickers in ways it shouldn't, sometimes registering sounds I didn't make. I keep going. I have to keep going. The story feeds itself. My hands shake. The room tilts. My own voice becomes a stranger, whispering things I didn't write, laughing when I stop. By the time I reach the middle, I can barely tell if I am the one speaking or if the recorder has taken over. The words are mine, yet not mine. The air presses against my skin, thick and heavy. I try to stop. I can't. I realize I'm becoming part of it. The story, the voices, the shadows, all consuming, all real. And somewhere just at the edge of hearing, a laugh answers mine.